Evening, good afternoon, good morning, Fabulites. I have questions for you. What opens with Miss Charlie being stood up? And what closes with Miss Charlie standing up for Darla? If you guess Queen Sugar season 2 episode, I don't know, but it's already in the title. Last night's Queen Sugar, you're correct. And if you would like to stick around for how we got from opening to closing, please do. Thank you for clicking. I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Okay, so we see Charlie. She's at a family therapy session, or a therapy session for Micah, but Micah is not there, and she calls Micah, and she's in front of the therapist, and she's trying to hold it together, and Micah says that he's in New Orleans at a Habitat event with his auntie Nova. And the therapist invites Charlie to go. Well, you might as well stay. You already here. Oh, no, I'm here. I'm just here for the boy. Well, you being here, it helps the boy. It helps us to help the boy if we can know, where the boy came from. You're part of the story, too. So Charlie reluctantly stays, but she was not enthusiastic. She didn't want to stay, but she did stay because the woman, she couldn't out-argue the woman. The woman had some good points. Her therapist, black woman therapist. Okay, so then we see Ra, and is it just me? Because in my notes, I had been wanting to call him Ra probably maybe 2 episodes ago. I was like, oh, it'd just be so much simpler to call him Ra. But then all of a sudden, last episode, I noticed people were calling him Ra. And now it's just like everybody call him Ra. If they've been calling him Ra all along, I miss that. I love Ra. Sun God. Yes, the sun, the God, the sun, the God. Woo! Okay. So Ra and Darla, and Ra, he wants Darla to move in. So, I didn't know if he knew about her firation, but he knows about her firation. And, he I want to support you. I want to be here for you. Darla is like, I really appreciate that. Super cool and everything, but I need to take care of me for me. I can't, so that's, she want to take care of her own business. She trying to go, Darla. Go, girl. Yes. Okay. People say they worried about Darla going back on drugs. Now, this episode, I could start to see where some pressure and some cracks and some stuff were going on, where it's kind of like I could kind of see it happening, but I don't want to see it happen. But that's how life be sometimes. Okay, so then we have Vi in Hollywood, and Hollywood is like, Miss Vi, what's up? And she's like, oh, I'm just nervous about these pies selling. He like, you ain't nervous about them pies? What is really going on? What's good, Miss Vi? And she says, she tells Wood about what Ra shared with her about Ernest's new will. And they like, ooh, or the new will, whatever. His statement that instead of leaving his farm to all the children, he wants to leave the farm just to Ralph Angel and baby boy Blue. And I think Wood says something like, well, Ralph is the one who was here, showing an interest in being involved. The other ones are off doing their own thing. So plus that's that's whatever. Okay, so we got that out the way. And then we see Charlie in therapy. She's still at the same therapy session where baby boy stood her up, where Micah stood her up. And it seemed like it's going on forever. I know that's how she felt, and they did a good job. Like, dang, she's still at the therapist session. And the therapist is asking her questions, and Charlie is trying to, keep it together and keep it tight. Let's just keep the focus on Micah. And the therapist, of course, is like, connections, baby. This is the intergenerational stuff. Like, it's all connected, mama. But Charlie really does not want to talk about her stuff. And you can tell she has so much stuff going on that she's just bounded up. And she afraid that if she let one little thing out, that she just gonna fall apart. Because she got you start to see here that, when we first met her, I felt like she had a lot going on with her husband with the whole thing unwinding with her husband. But, you know, like all of us, she had a history before that. So it's just kind of like, I can just feel the tension and her concern. Oops, hold on one second. Yeah, I can just feel the tension in her trying to hold everything together. We find out that she was raised primarily by her mom, which we already knew, and that they basically only talked about things that were in line with perfectionism. Charlie said something about knowing the difference between perfectionism and excellence, and the therapist is like, well, does your son know the difference? And it's kind of like, you can tell there's a lot going on that is unexamined in Charlie, that there's a lot that she's just been, you know, holding it together and getting by. Even though, you know, on the surface it looked like, woo, she got it all together. I thought they did a really good job of us feeling just the quagmire that's going on inside of Sister Charlie. Okay, so that's that. And then we move on to Nova and Micah, and they're at the Habitat build. This is where, you know, Micah done blown his mother off. He hanging out with Auntie Nova. He told his mama, you told me to do more community service. I'm like, look, little sorry ass boy, that's not a good excuse, because if you already had an appointment and a commitment, you need to honor that. And she probably wanted to say all of that, but she was in front of the therapist, and she got a phone. She's like, oh, we had a scheduling conflict. It was just a simple misunderstanding. But she's pissed in the inside. So anyway, we see Nova and Micah at the Habitat build, and who shows up? Who, for some reason, I thought I looked on IMDb, maybe I don't know how to look right, but I thought Homeboy was only going to be on one episode in the whole season, and I was very disappointed and very upset, because I just fell so in love with the love of Nova and Dr. Dubois, who showed up at the Habitat build, talking about, I saw your tweets. Is she like, you came from Atlanta for the Habitat build? And it was kind of like, I was kind of like, he came from Atlanta to the Habitat? Did he happen to have business or stuff going on in New Orleans? I mean, it is, you know, Atlanta to, okay, from Hattiesburg, it took 2 hours to drive to New Orleans, and it took about 6. So it's probably like a couple hour flight to get from Atlanta to New Orleans, I would guess. I don't know, maybe shorter than that. But still, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I like seeing him, and he looks super cute in his little hat, and they're so cute together. I'm just so in love with them. But anyway, so Dr. Dubois is on the Habitat build site. And then we see Darla. She's at Charlie's office, and she's saying she needs help. I thought she was asking Charlie for a job, but no. She's letting her know that she's looking for a job. Can you help me? Here's my resume. I don't even think it was a resume. I think it was a piece of lined paper where she had written down, you know, her experience, but it might have been her resume. And Charlie is looking it over, and Charlie is like, well, to me, you're a little bit too old to have so many internships on your resume, but a lot of the places that you've worked, that you've had internships, are impressive. And, you know, Darla is like, well, my parents helped. And then Charlie is like, well, boom, there you go. Go talk to your parents. Shoot, they've been hooking you up. You need to. And I couldn't quite catch all of what was going on, but basically, I guess Darla feels that that's not an option. I don't know if they are Darla's parents white, or one of her parents. What's the story with Darla? We don't know, because she's very light. She and Charlie, you know. So yeah, did they cut her off for dealing with well, she's got some color in her, but did they cut her off for dealing with Ralph Angel? Did they cut her off for being a drug addict? I mean, what happened? What's the story? Inquiring minds want to know. We got questions. Okay. We find out, you know, it gets me. I guess I had never really thought, you know, it's funny how when you meet these characters, you almost meet them where they are, and then it's kind of like stuff causes you to think about, well, who were they? What has shaped them to be who they are? Which is kind of the way it sort of happens in real life. When you meet people, when I meet people, it's kind of like I'm like, oh, this is who they are. And then as I get to know them more, stuff comes up. I'm like, well, what's up with that? Where did that come from? How did they, you know? So anyway, it's nice. They're like real human beings with layers and backgrounds and histories and families and conflicts, and I love Queen Sugar. Okay. So she says she can't ask her parents again. Then we see Darla. She's meeting with an AA person. I don't know if it's her sponsor or not, but they at a little diner. Is it the High Yellow? Is that the only diner in town? In St. Joe's? Is it St. Joe's? And they're talking about recovery, and Darla is telling her, Darla is telling her about how Ralph Angel wanted her to move in with him, and what did you say? Well, I said no, but it makes me feel like I'm always going to need help. And the woman is like, you're not always going to need help. And Darla's like, and it's kind of like it was in that moment that I'm like, oh Lord, the child seemed a little shaky, like so but it's good. I was really encouraged to see her meeting with someone in her program. That's what you got to do when you feel the feelings. You talk them out, work them out, get support. Don't go back to the crack pipe. It's not gonna support you. It's not gonna help you, Miss Darla. Stay the course, mama. Okay, so then we see Vi, and she on her pie selling game. So did I miss when she quit her job at the High Yellow? Is she doing this on her off days? I mean, it seemed like at the end of the last episode, I did get the impression that Wood is like, look, we gonna make your dreams come true. And mine too. But now she out here selling pies. And she, trying to be all upbeat and, yes, this is the best pie, and try this and try that. And the woman is like, well, do you have this kind of pie? Do you have, well, we don't need any new expenditures now. And, talk back to me if you get any other clients. If you get any clients, because I don't want to take a chance on you, because shit, yes, you might be, I don't know, which, whenever you're starting off with anything, it'd be rough. It's rough out here on these streets, Aunt Vi. But it was rough for you in High Yellow. You had to fight to get your management position, and you can fight to build your company. Yes, Aunt Vi, yes. Okay, so we're still at the habitat build, and we're with Dr. Dubois and Nova. I wrote Vi, but it was Nova. And they're talking, and Davis shows up for Micah. And it's, and Davis is like, oh, it's good to meet you, Dr. Dubois. And, Dr. Dubois is like, well, we've met before, we played basketball, and I was a pretty good player, but you was just kicking my behind. And, he's very charming, very personable. And I think before that, he was kind of talking about tools and how maybe his grandfather was a carpenter or something like that. So it's kind of like you start getting the impression of him not only being, intellectually virile and accomplished, but also physically virile and accomplished, and also, a handyman, and just like the all around, I'm every man, it's all in me, anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. So, it's kind of like, you can tell Nova is kind of like, she might have even said something to the effect of, dang, what can't you do? He's charming. And then we see, I couldn't quite understand all of what was going on with this scene, but there's, at the habitat build, there's some folks taking pictures. At first I thought they were taking pictures of Davis. People had their cell phones out, they take whatever. But then I realized it was a woman that they were taking pictures of, and Davis asked Micah who she was, and Micah told him, but I didn't get it. And I was watching on the TV, so I didn't rewind. It was like live TV. It wasn't on demand, and it wasn't on my Kodi. So I don't know. I don't know who she was, but she was being interviewed, and she sounded positive and progressive, and Davis looked like he was spitting, and I'm like, I was a little offended. I'm like, how he out here being smitten already? But then I guess Charlie's been dealing with Remy. These fast ass people out here moving on. I mean, how long has it been? They are divorced, but gosh, don't you need time to heal and process before you just, okay. But anyway, so then we see Nova and Dr. Dubois. They're walking and talking. That's all I wrote. They were walking and talking, but I'm sure it was probably, I was too busy smiling and grinning at them to take good notes. Okay, so then we see Ra working out in the fields, in the sugarcane fields, and Darla and Blue come and they bring him lunch or a snack or something, and then we see Darla bathing Blue, and she like, y'all, I just realized that Kenya was the doll, because at the end of the last episode, when Micah gave baby boy Blue the coloring set so that he and Kenya could color the world, I don't know who Kenya was, because I was like, I ain't seen him with no little friends, no little girlfriends. But his mama is bathing him in this episode. She's like, well, what do you like about Kenya? And I couldn't quite catch all of that, but I know she was looking kind of funny about the face. You know, and Kenya is his Barbie doll, his baby doll. So you know, we got that going. Then we're at the ice cream shop, and it's Nova and Dr. Dubois, and she gets a call from Charlie. And you know, Charlie, is it me you don't respect, or is it just boundaries you don't respect? You helped Micah blow off therapy. And Nova is like, I did not know anything about the therapy. You okay? You okay, sis? Hashtag, you okay, sis? So, you know, they kind of had that conversation. And then we're back at the, you know, in the conversation with Dr. Dubois. I don't really know what he said, but I'm like, it's a lot. He did good to get ice cream with his intense ass. I mean, he showed up unannounced, you know, just monopolizing all of her time. She got plans. She not just gonna drop everything because you in town. And who told you to come into town and think she just gonna, you know, because he was trying to get her out for dinner. She like, I gotta, my sister need me or something, she said. And I was like, I guess she had to think quick because he's coming on so strong and it's so intense. But I didn't necessarily appreciate the lie, because at that time I thought she was just lying to not have to deal with him. So I think Nova did right to not dinner with him. I said, don't lie, but this is a little stalkerish. I don't know. I don't know. We don't have enough information or context. We know we haven't had enough time with this situation. It's either very sweet or very scary, and we just don't know yet. Okay, so then we're at Charlie's place, and Nova shows up. So she didn't lie. And it's good too, because her sister was acting type crazy. So it's good that she, you know, she says it sounded like you needed some company. And then we see Nova ritualizing again. I don't know if she was burning sage, it was leaves or something. It wasn't sweetgrass either. I don't know what she was doing, but she was ritualizing. She was trying to work with the space and the energy, and she was trying to work with her sister, because her sister needs some support. So Charlie is like, you know, Charlie is like, Char's like, I don't know if I feel it any different. And Nova's like, you will, especially after I leave. So, you got Micah in therapy? And Char's like, well, it was supposed to be his first day. He would have been there if he wanted to. And Nova's like, well, you know, Micah's beautiful. And, you know, basically like, you know, he's beautiful because you did a good job with him. And also, I don't know if Nova said it, but I was thinking his parents have done a good job with him. He's a nice young man as far as I'm concerned. I didn't appreciate, you know, I'm still upset about last episode with Ralph Angel calling him soft and talking about they messed up the kid. The kid don't seem messed up to me. I think he's very appropriate with his nephew. I think his nephew is like an annoying little kid, and it's normal to be a little annoyed with an annoying little kid when you're 16 and he's 6. But I don't think he was like inappropriate. You know, I think that's a nice little boy. He seems like a nice young man to me. And I think that Charlie and Davis, because I think they've both done a good job with him. And I think as the episode progresses, I really had an even greater appreciation for, you know, Davis. Like, his parents care about him, and he feels like he's cared about and he's supported. I don't blah 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 blah. And then we hear this piano story about how Charlie used to play the piano. She asked her sister, do you remember when I used to play the piano? And Nova was like, I remember you used to make all that noise. She was like, no, I was pretty good. I was really good in practice, but then whenever it came to a recital, I would freak out. I wasn't good. I couldn't handle it. And then something like one day, one recital came and I just stopped playing in the middle of it, and I got up and I walked out, and my mother is like, well, you need to get another hobby, and we never talked about it again. And Nova's like, well, your mama made you a control freak, but today is a new day, and it's a blank slate. You can start again. And the sister Charlie said to Nova, well, yours too. It's a new day for you. It's a blank slate for you. And I'm not the only control freak in the family. And then Nova is like, who you talking about? Aunt Vi? But I thought it was so, I love that scene, that sisterly love, that sisterly support, that connection, that calling each other out on stuff, but in a loving, I love me some Queen Sugar. Y'all better do that Queen Sugar work. Write this show. I love this show. Okay, so then we see Micah and Davis stay at the ball court, and Davis, the daddy, is like, look, here's the situation. Okay, here's the situation. This how we gonna play. We gonna shoot the ball, and whoever make a basket, you get to ask the other one a question, any question, and they have to answer it. Whatever. So they're playing basketball, but they're bonding and interacting as father and son. So Micah take his shot, he make his shot, and then he asks his daddy, are you a sex addict? And his daddy is like, well, gosh darn, you just jumping right into it. And Micah's like, uh-huh. And Davis is like, no, but something is wrong. I got spoiled being an athlete. He didn't say that. He basically said, as soon as people found out I could put a ball in the basket, they just give me everything I want and blah 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 blah. He basically has been spoiled. Davis, so they talk about that or whatever. Then Davis takes his shot, and he's like, ask his question, did the cops rough you up? And baby boy is like, no, but I never felt like that, out of control and at somebody else's mercy. And I can't stop thinking about it. And then his father is like, unfortunately, fear is a rite of passage for us. You have to use it to make you smarter and better. And it reminded me, oh my God, I'm so far into this thing. It reminded me of being a student at my school and finding out that the black male students were regularly asked for ID as they moved across campus. And I had never had the experience of anybody asking me for my student ID. And I don't think that anybody should have been asking a damn person for student ID, because 116th Street, that campus, is a street. So people should be able to transit through 116th Street, as far as I'm concerned, without having to show ID. When I heard that was happening to the male students, I was shocked, I was offended, I was upset. But it was also kind of like humbling, because it's sort of like, just in terms of privilege, like as a woman, even a woman of color, I had the privilege of moving without having to deal with that, and not even realizing that they were constantly and continuously dealing with that and being harassed. And when he said that about fear is a rite of passage, I think as a woman there are things that we deal with in terms of fear, but that just, y'all, I've just talked too much. But anyway, that just, I love that scene, and I just thought it was really beautiful. And then we see Blue freaking out, and Darla and Rock come in, and Kenya is missing the Barbie doll, and we find out that Darla threw it away. And he's, Mariah's like, don't go into your mysterious act. And, she like, what are you talking about? And he's like, where did you throw it out? And then Wood comes in. The next thing we see Wood come in, and Vi's in bed. And Vi quit. So I'm like, did she quit her job? But she just laying in bed. She feeling bad. She listening to sad songs. And she like, yesterday hurt my feelings. And, sometimes you have to see the sides for what it is. I can't do the pop thing. Where my music at? Life is just awful. She had a hard day. She tried to recuperate. And homeboy is like, Wood is like, I believe in you. You got to keep working. I want for you what you want for you, and you ain't alone. Okay, I got to keep going. Then we see Rod in a dumpster. He looking for Kenya, and the cops come up on them. And one cop is black, and it turns out they know each other. And then they laughing and rehashing old times. And Ralph Angel says, I'm going to keep him close, and I'm going to let him do what he wants to do and be who he want to be, talking about his baby. I love that line. I can't even talk about it because it's so late. And then we see Ralph Angel back with Darla at the farm. Oh, and so then that whole thing with that man, woman, his voice deep, was that a transsexual? I was kind of like, but it was just like, oh my gosh, it was kind of amazing. Even though Ralph Angel is an asshole to me, that guy was kind of like, you know, you let me be who I was, and I thought you were going to out me, and you didn't out me when you saw me at the police station. And Ralph Angel was like, nah. And he does come across as kind of cool in some ways, even though sometimes he come across as an asshole in other ways. But then we see Ralph Angel with Darla at the farm, and she's like, I finally got him down for a nap. I thought he had Kenya as a sorry substitute for me. And Ralph Angel is like, you and Kenya ain't got nothing to do with each other. Then we see Vi and Wood, and they out selling again, but this time they together. And they coming to the restaurant, and Vi is like, I got pie. And the man is like, whatever you selling, I don't want it. It's too hot for all of this. My air conditioner is broken, so you might as well go on out. And Wood is like, well, how about I look at your air conditioner while you listen to my woman? And she, you know, it's too hot for a thing. Just taste the pie. And, you know, it seemed like it's, you know, we might have something going here. Everybody got to have a gimmick. Mary Kay was like, come on in here and try on these wigs. You want some skincare? And he like, come on, let me wash your, fix your air conditioner. You want some pie? So everybody gotta hustle something. You gotta find your niche. Okay, so then we see Shar painting, and Mike painting the wall, and Mike comes home and she looks at him, and then she smiles, and then Mike was looking at her, and then she smiles, and then he picks up the roller, and mama Char is like, you want to see a movie in the city later? And then Micah's like, I love to. So, you know, they kind of working out their relationship. It's cute, it's sweet, we like it. Then we see Nova with 2 coffees. She's in the lobby. And then, and the man had told her he liked her. Dr. Dubois had told her he liked her. And I was kind of like, whew. I mean, you know, it's like I like him too, but I'm just like, he make me a little nervous because he's so intense with it. But we like intense, but is this crazy intense or is this good intense? I don't know. But she, you know, she says, I like you too, and I'm glad you came out. And he's like, you're beautiful, and you know. So then we see Darla with Ra, and Darla is trying to make another Kenya. And Ralph Angel is like, that boy know Kenya inside and out. You ain't gonna fool him. Then we see Shar gets a call. I mean, Shar is calling Darla. Darla gets a call from Shar. And she's like, you know, Charlie is like, I know a job, you know, that you might be good at. And, you know, Darla is like, well, what is it? This is what I thought was happening at the beginning. But, you know, and then Shar is like, I need an office assistant. You know, and it's gonna be long hours and blah 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 blah. And Darla is like, yes, okay, thank you. And then when she gets off the phone, she's like, you know, I just got a job. And Ralph Angel is like, tell me about it. And, you know, she's like, it's with Charlie. And then we see Ralph Angel's face getting tight, and he's like, working with her at the mill. And then I think that's the end of it. But whether it's the end of it or not, that's all I got for my notes. And we're out of time. But thank you so much for clicking and sticking around for my recap review. Liking, commenting, subscribing, being you, being fabulous, and being fabulous you. Have a great day, because you know what today is, right? It's the best day ever. Bye.